Oh,
All
we're at the
right.
Tomb of Zaqqum. That's a point too. That's the place
Yes.
last found out. I have my notes now.
Yeah. So the Tomb of Zaqqum was the large tomb at the end of this sort of corridor of tombs.
Can I make a history check to see if I recognize this name at all?
Yes.
All right.
Give me a history check. Meanwhile, Okrim,
Yep.
since you're spending the whole hour, um, I'm inclined to not even have you roll at all to search
Okay.
through them because you don't have that many bodies to rifle through. You can do a thorough investigation. And you have a look through. You find that they are shabbily dressed. A couple of them have in their pockets strange, cold pouches. They're
Okay.
sealed up just by a drawstring. So you could easily open it up and have a look inside. But you find among the goblin bodies of the 6 that you have there, you find 2 small pouches that feel very cold to the touch. They are all carrying very crude bows. A couple of them still have arrows. And the 2 on the ground floor also have short swords. But the other 4 only have daggers.
Okay, so 4 daggers. Okay, so 4 daggers. 2 short swords. I have no use for short swords, so I will bring everything but the cold pouches and the daggers to basically the encampment. And I want to like do a Arcana trap inspection to see if there's anything I feel like I should be worried about.
Okay. Give me an Arcana skill check.
Uh, 17.
You can tell that there's something magical about the pouches, but nothing that's overtly magical. So you can tell that there are magical qualities to the things in the bag. Are you opening the pouch at all to see what's inside?
Yeah.
You have a look inside, and you see moss. What appears to be moss. It's a dried green substance, very flaky. Looks like it might be moss, possibly crushed leaves.
I'm gonna spend then. I don't know if I would need to do it twice or just once. I'm gonna spend, and I should have thought of that beforehand. And identifying 10 minutes and 6 seconds identifying. Or 11 minutes. Sorry, 11 minutes identifying.
All right. We'll say that takes you up to the entirety of the short rest hour when that ritual's complete.
Yeah.
Completing the ritual.
Oh, good.
The identify spell and your Arcana check combined confirm an idea at the back of your mind that these are alchemical ingredients, reagents, and they are also medicinal substances. They likely have something to do with treatment of disease or illness, sickness, maybe poison. You know that some things that give off this kind of hue when you use your identify spell, they're often used as salves, usually just when mixed with a bit of water. But you can't find the exact nature of it. This isn't something you've seen before.
Okay.
But there doesn't seem to be a spell active on it. So the identify spell is not
active on it.
there's a school of magic or anything on it. It seems to be a natural product. It's just got some magical properties.
Okay, gotcha. I think the only person that has herbalism is on, if I remember correctly. Actually, I'm gonna ask. Hey, does anyone here like good with herbalism? Like whatever.
Well, I should be. Hold on. I should be. I've got a really good survival, and is that the kind of wisdom check that herbalism would fall under?
Probably nature.
Well, it's actually proficiency in herbalism is what I'm looking for.
Oh, a specific proficiency.
If anyone wants to make a medicine check with intelligence as the basis, I will allow them to do that.
I got no bonus there, really.
I would be happy to take a look at those plants, or those plants,
Those pouches.
those pouches.
Do it, Eridu.
So Eridu will, he's working on his martial arts forms at the moment, and you bring this up, and he kind of comes out of a bit of a trance and says, "Oh, I would be happy to look at those for you." And taking a glance, he goes, "I don't think I've ever really seen anything like this before in my life."
I take it you rolled lower than an 8.
I rolled an 8.
Oh, you got an 8.
Yeah.
I would say with an 8, you're able to identify that the substance inside is a mold that's been dried and flaked.
I mean, it is definitely a dried mold, but aside from that, I haven't seen anything like it before in my life.
Okay. Would I have known
See what
from
I did there?
identify spell that that it's gonna maintain its cold nature, or would I like is it gonna maintain its cold nature? Like would I know? Like
so, yes.
okay, so then I'm gonna pocket it. I'm going to, in the back of my mind, think that I might know what it could be useful for. And so I'm going to pocket that in the back of my mind, and then, because there's only 2 of them, not test that theory until necessary.
The Tomb of Zaqqum lies open and dark ahead of you. The wind is still howling overhead. You still have seen hide nor hair of the Takentire clan since you entered. You saw just a small rip of fabric from Vilren's cloak.
That was over at the crack.
Yes, that was at the crack that you squeezed through to get here in the first place. Those of you with dark vision,
Yes.
you can see within the tomb edifice there is a small antechamber within which there is a small crack down a slight incline, and to the right there is a hallway. This hallway is made of very smooth flagstones on the floor and ceiling. The walls are intricately carved with pictographs showing all manner of figures and doing all sorts of things. But you then see that the corridor takes a sharp turn to the left and begins another incline. And this appears to be the only way through.
So, looking back down the way we came, would this be the only way that anybody else could have traveled through here?
They could have entered the other tombs kind of off to the sides. They all seem a lot smaller. This one has a bit more of a grand air about it.
Okay. So, looking to you, Eridu will say, looking to Okrim, and, well, I guess Eigner, it seems odd to me that these goblins would be here and yet no sign of the elves. You would have thought, I would have thought that they would have dispatched this guard on their own, very easily.
If I recall correctly, they didn't have much of a military contingent. They just had the leader with them at the time. So
Okrim,
it's not impossible to think that they attempted to skirt them.
this is true. However, there were enough soldiers, and one of the military leaders is quite experienced. I think it's possible they could have found another way around, acquired a path.
Elves are a lot sneakier than us. That much is for sure. We're just bumbling around through here.
This is
Bumbling.
true. All of a sudden, you are talking to Eridu, and the next thing you notice, he's standing at your side. We are very sneaky.
Yes, you are.
I'm thinking of the guy from Mr. Deeds. Just shows up.
Right.
Yeah. So, which path? That path? Shall we path? Through that path?
Yes, I think we probably should go in here. It seems the most likely place that they would go for an artifact of any renown.
Okay. Well,
I will go ahead and make sure our path is clear.
Okay. I will go right behind you.
And I'm
So-
going to cast light on his sword again.
Yeah.
I'm actually like holding you back.
Oh.
Let me go
Really?
first and just check,
Okay.
and I'll give you a signal when I know it's safe.
All right.
I'm playing the rogue now, man.
I
I'm
know.
gonna crawl on hands and feet, searching for traps.
every step of the way.
My
Okay.
I'm gonna do a stealth check. I'm just
You gonna do a stealth check?
yeah.
Okay. And you're also going to be searching for a trap.
I suppose, yeah. I'll take it slow and just kind of be carefully on the lookout for things that might be out of place.
Okay. Eridu, apologize, forgive me. Does Eridu have dark vision?
Yes, and
Yes.
a passive perception of 14, if you need me to use that, and then a stealth check. I just rolled a 17.
Yes. And there's now light coming from your, coming from near you as well, thanks to Okrim's cantrip. All right.
Well, not from
That was my sword.
Eigner, because he is a human, and humans are largely useless.
Yes, there is light somewhere around my vicinity, and the more I move and the more they stay still, it gets further away from me.
Okay. Do make me a perception check. See if you can find anything along this corridor.
12. Do I find anything along this corridor?
Give me a dexterity saving throw.
Ooh, even though I think I'm proficient in it, this one may not go well. 10.
You are.
I
All
rolled a
right.
5.
And I've just realised that my dice are still up on the side there.
Oh,
So I
dear.
apologise. 2 seconds.
We will not forgive you.
We will not forgive. We will not forgive.
Okay, so I'm afraid that dear Eridu takes
An arrow
5
to the knee.
damage as he searches the floor of this corridor diligently and then finds, just catching the light of Eigner's sword in the distance, a sliver of a thin wire 3 inches from the floor.
Oh, classic.
But he sees it just as his hand catches it.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, a very thin support beam on the side near the wall snaps at the pull of the wire, and the ceiling collapses down.
Oh, dear.
Eridu manages to pull himself back, but as the dust fills the antechamber, Eridu finds himself with a few nicks, cuts, and scratches, and the corridor ahead is now blocked.
Oh,
Oh man.
figures. Nice going, dude. I mean, just kidding. I'm more like, are you okay? Eridu, no! Eridu!
I stand up and dust myself off, looking more upset that my clothes got a little torn than that I got injured at all. I'm fine. I'm fine. It's nothing. It's just a flesh wound.
I have this mysterious potion. It might be a healing potion.
Thank you. I will decline.
Okay. I mean, I'm eventually gonna drink it to see what it does.
Out of character, where on D&D Beyond do we manage our hit dice?
Oh no, it's just I think it's automatically done on through short rests.
Well, yeah, no, I know. We just hit short rest and it does it. Okay,
Yeah. You hit short rest and it'll pop up.
there you go. I got you.
Oh, by the way, you do. I am incorrect. You do add your modifier on your Constitution modifier on the short rest.
Oh, I fucking knew it, dude.
Okay.
Okay.
I it doesn't really make a difference, so I'm still full hit points.
Yeah. So it's when you hit short rest, it'll have your little dot, like it'll let you select how many you're using. So,
Guys, you're suspending disbelief.
My
I
bad.
can't believe this is really happening in real life now because we're talking mechanics.
Well,
right.
we needed to figure it out.
Yeah. So you have before you the rubble-strewn and blocked-off corridor. You have a crack similar to the one that you crawled through to get here in the first place. Seems to be the only place that the strange robed goblin that you saw with the peculiar staff or spear
Oh,
could have gone.
that was the one that I tried to challenge.
Yes.
It went
Are
through
there-
that crack. Oh.
Oh, okay. Went to that crack. I was gonna ask if there was multiple entrances just higher up, but just that crack on the outside.
Against this wall, this appears to be the only one.
All right, I guess I'll come out and just say, well, this path is useless.
Yeah. Are you gonna be okay to keep checking stuff?
Yes, I will be fine.
Okay.
Would you like me to go and check the crack before we do anything else?
Yeah, I really would like to go track down that goblin.
Yes, then. I'm gonna climb up to the crack and squeeze my way through.
All right. Immediately, you get a pungent stench hitting your nostrils, and the air feels a lot thicker here, kind of soupy. But you
Gross.
squeeze on through. It takes you a full 10 minutes to crawl through to any point that looks like it widens. And even then, it only gets to the point where you're no longer having to flatten yourself and move sideways. But you still need to duck down an awful lot. There's not a lot of room to move.
This is
You
why I
can
should
see,
when I should
however,
have taken.
ahead,
Oh, good.
you see further ahead that there is a decline, and that it continues on. There's a left and a right passage shooting off, and you can see that it also continues on. So you're approaching a crossroads.
Okay. Did everyone else just kind of follow behind me, or are they waiting for me to signal?
Is it even possible for me to squeeze into the crack?
It's only chain that you're wearing, right?
Yeah, but I got my big bulky shield and holster, or no, not holster, but you know what I mean. Scabbard, that's the word. Got my scabbard. Like, you know, like I just don't know how feasible it is for me to do that.
Well, you can carry your shield like you can You're not an idiot. You can.
It's
just carry
feasible
your-
to get everything through,
Okay.
but you're right. You wouldn't be able to carry everything in the way that you'd probably want to, in a very defensive posture. You wouldn't want to be attacked
Yeah,
while this.
For
was going
sure. No, I'm completely defenseless. That makes sense. But yeah, if it's like big enough for me to get all my shit through, then I guess I'll follow Eridu because I can't stand the thought of leaving him. I just can't.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for him. He might collapse an entire ceiling again.
Yeah.
Right. So you guys follow through. You can also see this crossroads. There's a left, there's a right, and there's a dead ahead. If you continue on to the crossroads itself, you see that to the left, it carries on for about 20 feet, and then ends. And there's a series of much smaller tunnels that you don't think that any of you could realistically squeeze through. but they look like they've recently been accessed. To the right, you see that it's more of an alcove, and it's filled with green mold.
Jackpot of potentially medicinal things, perhaps. So, can I do like a survival check? Would I use that to track?
Yes.
Yes.
Tracking is survival.
Tracking.
So
okay.
yeah, give me a survival check to.
Yeah. So essentially, just check in, comparing the dead ahead straight to the alcove and to the left. I'm comparing all three of those as far as like relative amounts of foot traffic that have gone through there.
All right. Give me a survival check.
Oh, I rolled an 18, which means that is going to be a 22 total.
You see that the alcove to the left does have a great deal of foot traffic. It seems that those tunnels, the smaller ones that you guys can't get through, see a lot of use. But dead ahead, you have noticed that there's some tearing amongst the stone. Something larger has gone through here, possibly elf-sized.
Ah. And has the one to the right been accessed a lot?
The alcove to the right appears to have no exits at all. It's just filled with mold. You can see that some of the mold has been torn away, but it doesn't look like it's been torn by any hands or anything. It looks like they've used a tool of some kind to scrape it away.
Interesting.
If I were to inspect it, would I feel like it's the same as what's in my pouches?
How close are you getting?
Okay, no question. Would I feel like going up to it would be dangerous, like based on what it looks like? So if I have to make 2 medicine checks, that's fine. Or an inspection and a medicine. But how would I feel like it would be? Not how Josh feels, how Okrim feels. Bear in mind, he's not exactly a medicine guy.
He's not a medicine guy.
Yeah.
Give me.
Although I think I'm going to purposely do that.
Right, Okrim's going to give me a survival check.
Okay.
So, wisdom, survival skill. You definitely feel that it's cooler near the mold.
Just waiting. Just waiting for all of us
12?
to fail saving throws.
For sure.
We're all gonna fail our saving throws.
12.
12?
Uh-huh.
Something feels off, but you don't see any immediate danger.
Eridu in this time has...
Okrim always trusts his gut. So I'm gonna say, this feels like this is close to what I have in my pouches. But something seems a little off.
Okay.
So I don't have. I am not exactly one for being able to stave off any kind of poisoning. So I'm not approaching it. But if any of you guys are good about like being able to like hold your own, you can give it a shot.
I'll take a pass. I'll just relay my information to you guys about how the dead ahead path is the one the elves took. The one to our left is the one that all the goblins are taking. And all of a sudden I've lost interest in the idea of tracking that one stupid goblin that resisted my ultimate challenge. And I say that we should forge on and try and find these elves and really find out. I mean, like, even though I don't enjoy this mission particularly, this section of it, I am piqued. My curiosity is piqued at the what these elves are really up to. There's my conspiracy mind is going crazy with what could possibly be going on.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's the consensus of the group then?
In this time, Eridu has sat down cross-legged while they're exploring stuff, and laid out 3 tarot cards, and is reading them. and says, "It seems that one of these paths is a sort of escape. Another one has a bit of a lazy, stuck feeling about it, and the other one promises some form of a union. So I do not know which path is which, but it seems if you Agnar believe the elves went this way, that probably is our path toward reunion."
As usual, Eridu, I have no idea what you're talking about, but but I think you're supporting me, and I appreciate that, dear friend.
Well, one of these days I will need to teach you the ways of my people.
Oh, sure. Yeah, anytime.
Well, I mean, not all of us read cards, but that's just me. But, you know, we do things.
I understand.
Okay, so I'm standing about, I don't know, a few steps back and just like watching their interaction with like. In my mind, in my like actual face, I'm just like deadpan, but in my mind, I'm like.
All right.
Just I want both I want the players to know and the audience to know that to me it was a ridiculous conversation.
All right. So forging.
Sometimes
forward.
ridiculous conversations must happen.
Mhm. So
You forge on ahead,
forge on ahead.
and this is when the faintest glimmer of light can be seen at the end of this tunnel. You see that the incline deepens, and you head downwards to where bricks are now visible. This sort of natural cave that you found in the sandstone gives way to a worked corridor. You can see that it seems that this tunnel is part of a collapsed bit of tunnel that the goblins have helped dig in. The well-worked section of the corridor goes on ahead for another short ways, and you see that there is way off to the left where there's a dim shaft of light coming from it, as if there's some low-burning brazier in that room. To the right, further on ahead past this room, there seems to be a turning to the right, and the corridor continues on for a few hundred feet, and then those of you with dark vision can see it opens, and then that's the limit of your vision. The dim light augmenting your dark vision by just a few extra feet still can't get you to see the very end. But it appears that you're now in the tomb proper, perhaps where that corridor would have led to.
The one that collapsed.
Yeah.
We could have taken it here.
Yes. And now that you've stopped as well for a moment, your ears begin to pick up faint sounds from further down the corridor. But to this room to the left, you hear slicing, dripping sounds of a liquid, and low mumbled chanting.
Oh, that sounds great. That's sounds like a good time. Oh God.
Is the chanting in Elvis?
Yeah.
Elvish?
No. Does anyone speak Goblin?
No.
No.
It's in
But,
an unknown language, possibly Goblin.
Okay. So it's low, guttural, screechy sounds.
Hmm.
And that's just like the only way to go is down that corridor.
Yes.
I look to you.
Is it like, does it open up wide, or can like we basically peek our heads in and see if we can see like what's actually in there? Like, what's the vantage point like?
They are at right angles, so the corridor is very straight, very wide. This is a 10-foot wide corridor that goes down. The doorway itself, similarly wide, so the corridor goes straight, and this makes it like a right-angled connection to it, as it would in a lot of modern buildings.
So basically, no like hiding.
doesn't appear to be.
Okay.
You can see that the walls are covered in etchings and drawings carved into the side of it, and further on ahead, near towards the end of the corridor, you start to see that there are alcoves with something in, but you can't quite see what they are.
Okay, so I am going to. Okay, do I feel like what they're doing requires immediate action? Can I make a perception check?
We can only hear the sounds.
Right. I understand, but like you can all like language is language. Like you can feel, you can get a sense of.
No, I'm not debating. I'm just making that.
Oh, right.
Clarifying that we can only hear them. We can't see them yet. That's what all I'm asking.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's why I want to know if I feel like I hear, like a sense of expediency. Like within the next 10 minutes.
Give me an Arcana skill check.
Ooh, nice. 20.
You can tell that the chanting is for a magic ritual.
Right.
But because you don't... no, the 20. You know that the ritual is for an expanded, unhallowed spell. And if this ritual is completed, a large area or a large object will be desecrated.
What does that mean? If something is desecrated?
Bad.
It means it's unholy, unclean.
Yeah. So, I'm going to turn to Eridu, and because he would be the one that this would affect the most.
You turn to Eridu, and
he's no longer there.
And then when you turn around again to where you were straining your ears and concentrating deeply, you notice the shadowy figure of Eridu getting close to the corner and just peering his head around. Eridu, you see that this offshoot is indeed a room. It opens up into a large round chamber, possibly a shrine. You see a statue of a woman. She has a bird on her shoulder. She's quite tall, and she's reaching up towards the middle of the ceiling. It is a domed, vaulted ceiling, rather. The etchings inside that room are different to the ones in the regular corridor. Larger, telling a more simplified story, if anything. Inside you see two braziers with low burning coals, filling the room with just a dim amount of light. Nothing so much as a torch or a candle normally would. You see also that there are goblins in this room. You see the hooded goblin that Eigner described to you, wielding this spear. The spear itself is glowing ever so slightly. There's all kinds of metal bits just stuck to this ribbon flowing from it. The goblin seems to have adorned a great many things to this spear and holds it in high regard. He is rolling the spear around in the air at the foot of this statue, where you also see 6 elven bodies. He has been stabbing them with a small dagger in his other hand, dripping the blood onto the foot of the altar. You do recognize the figure of this statue altar person. You recognize it as an ancient goddess, Anestal. An ST, even. It's an I, not an L.
It is an I, not an L.
Yeah. The downside of
Nesty.
spelling.
Yeah.
N-S-T.
Also, it was very small. I didn't want to go right up to the thing.
That's why I added the PDF. There you go.
There it is. All right. So, seeing that, not even going to look back at my companions. Eridu is going to just let out a like cry of rage and charge at the cloaked figure. Um, can 40 feet of movement get me close enough to actually be able to hit him?
Yes. The shrine room seems to only be about 20 feet in diameter.
Will I get the
because
surprise
was
round
going
action?
I was going to basically tell Eridu to do this. So when I see him bolt, I'm gonna follow, and as soon as I'm within range, I'm going to Dissonant Whispers.
Okay.
Same.
Eridu, can you give me a strength saving throw, please?
Yes, I can, and I probably won't succeed. 14.
Nice. As you make a start into the shrine room, your foot snags on something, and you are stopped immediately as you realize that it is yet another wire. And you look up and see a net descend upon you.
Oh my
heavy,
goodness.
thick. It stops you, but you don't fall to the ground. You're just tangled in this net and unable to move further.
Okay.
At this point, we'll enter initiative stuff because they'll know you're there now.
Right.
So again,
It was
you
not
don't
a
come
surprise
through with-
round because we did like launch into assault and they didn't. Because Eigner and I both like followed immediately. Like we didn't. This is an ambush.
I will allow that. Yes. So Okrim,
Okay.
Eigner, you guys can
Okay.
pick your
Well, I
actions.
do it as
You're not
my
gonna be able
as
to
I
do
said
anything,
what
so
my
just
action was going to be, which is Dissonant Whispers on the clearly whoever's clearly the lead spellcaster.
It appears that only one of them is wearing a cloak and wielding a shiny spear. All the rest of them appear to be goblins just like the ones that you saw before.
Okay, so then clearly him.
10 of the goblins.
That's
Now that the net has descended, before you could only see a couple of them, but the rest have come out from behind the statue.
Okay.
So yeah, him. He gets the blast of Dissonant Whispers. It is a Wisdom saving throw, DC 14.
Dissonant Whispers!
Dissonant Whispers! Perfect monsters to go up against Wisdom! Because they're goblins!
Failed!
Yeah. There you go.
Okay. But it is still a, it's half damage still.
Well, why is it half damage still?
Because it's first level spell.
Oh no, I failed.
Oh, you failed!
Yes, I rolled a
My
4.
bad. Nice.
That's
okay,
what I'm
that's my bad.
saying, dude.
I'm
better.
my bad. Okay, so in this case, it's if I remember correctly, 3d6.
Yes, 3d6 psychic damage.
3d6 psychic damage, and he's got to run away. Use his reaction to run away. So, by the way, that essentially he's gonna. I don't. Would that force him to stop the incantation? Because that would disrupt his spellcasting.
Concentration check.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
would definitely have to take a.
Yeah,
Damage.
definitely concentration check.
What's the total damage?
8.
8.
Okay.
4.
And, Eigner. I'll describe what happens in a moment. Eigner, you were charging in,
Yeah.
presumably sword and shield in hand.
Yeah. Once I get around the corner, I see Eridu in front of me with a net on him.
Yep.
That's what I see. Okay. About how far in is he with the net on him?
He is 5 feet in through the
He's
door.
only 5 feet into the door. Okay, well in that case, I'm gonna stop next to him, and I'm gonna spend my action trying to helping him get out of the net somehow. Like, if I
You don't need to do anything. You being on the outside, you just spend your action and lift the net up and over.
Okay. Yeah. I'm
Oh,
just
so
gonna make
you
sure
freed.
he's
Sorry,
good.
I took a phone call.
It's all good. I freed you.
Cool.
All right.
Free to be.
So now that those actions have happened, as Okrim casts his dissonant whispers, the priest turns, faces you all, and then you see his eyes begin to dart around as if he's hearing voices in his head. He quickly shoves the spear into the final elf body and then darts behind the statue.
Oh man.
So what's everyone's intentions for the first proper round?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So my intentions are to, since I've been freed, I'm going to charge around that statue, and get that priest.
All right.
So I'm going to use my attack action, and then use a key point to use a bonus action to do the dodge maneuver action.
Cool.
Can you use a key point to dodge?
Yes.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Is dodge like just a defensive thing?
Yeah.
It's, you get advantage on, or
All
no,
enem-
all enemies get disadvantage.
Yeah, all enemies at disadvantage on attack rolls against you, and you have advantage on any dexterity saving roll.
Oh, that's dope.
Yep.
That's dope. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to try and look at what directions all the 10 goblins are, you know, and I'm going to try and find like the largest concentration of them, the largest group, and then I'm just going to charge into that group and just try and like get all of them engaged at once, pretty much.
All right. Okrim.
Okay, so I am going to. Okay, I'm going to. If I go before Eridu, I'm gonna give him a bardic inspiration as my bonus action, and I'm going to Dissonant Whispers the spellcaster again.
Okay.
I'm going to Dissonant Whispers the spellcaster regardless, but
if you go first, your bonus action.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Dissonant Whispers, first level spell?
Yes.
Yeah, first level. Okay. And Eigner, the weapon you're using, is that longsword?
Yep.
Fantastic. All right, everyone roll for initiative.
Okay.
I got a 5.
Mine's
16.
Mine's 18. I rolled like a beast, yo.
Nice. Okrim, what was yours?
16.
16. And Eridu, what was yours again? 5. Is that total?
Yeah, well, I didn't add the bonus you add, but yes. I rolled a 3 or 2 and then plus 3.
Right.
I don't know, something like that.
Wow. Okay. So.
Oh, no, I have it. Sorry, hold on. This is really important. I have a 6. I rolled a 3 and I have a plus 3. I added my proficiency, not my initiative.
I will make a change.
It's a huge difference.
Okay. Okrim, you do not find yourself going first. It's Eigner.
Yeah. I figured. But no, but I'm trying to get in front of Eridu, not in front of Eigner.
Yes, I apologize. I read your name first, despite the fact that you are bottom of my list. I was somehow reading bottom up, and you're not even first in initiative, so I had no reason to say your name right then, so I tried to cover it up.
Gotcha.
So, Eigner.
Okay. Well, I follow through with my plan. What general direction am I going in?
You veer to the left, and you see there is a collection of 6 goblins.
Oh yeah, they're all going down. They're all just going down. So I'm just charging to the one that's closest to me, and I'm just crashing down on him. My move and my attack.
Give me an attack roll.
Oh, only a 9. That's sad. That's really sad. That misses. Oh well.
And you don't have extra attack yet.
Not yet. I could use my action surge, but I think it's a little early to be using that.
Yeah. All right. That was Eigner. Okrim at this point.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with my bonus. I don't care the rules are. I'm gonna start with my bonus action just because it's gonna be easier for me because the answer is the same. So I'm gonna start with again my bardic inspiration, and it's any way you want it, that's the way you take it. Any way you want it, kill this motherfucker.
Wow.
And then, okay, so I do that. I give you get a D6, Eridu, to use within the next minute. I think it's the next minute, right?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and then and then for my dissonant whispers, I'm going to go with scar tissue, mage, and my scar tissue, wonder wall, scar tissue. I'm gonna kill you all, and dissonant whispers again. DC 14.
You run around to the back of the statue, and you cannot find the priest.
Okay, then I clearly don't cast the spell.
You did not get to use the spell slot, unfortunately, so it's not wasted.
Right.
But yeah, you run around, psyching yourself up, getting what you're about to say right, and as you get there, you see just the last goblin run around the other side of the statue, and the priest has disappeared.
Okay.
You don't see a way that he could have gone, at least not immediately, but there is a fight going on.
Based on passive perception, would I be able to hear him continue casting the spell, or do I feel like he is that's been interrupted? Passive 13.
You sense with the sounds of battle and everything, you can't hear if he's continuing it, but you do know that you did interrupt it.
Okay. That's all that matters to me right now.
So if he's doing it again, he needs to start from the beginning.
Right. Yeah. That's all that matters to me right now.
All right. Okay. Now it's Eridu.
So I charge around the other side of the statue, probably seeing the exact same thing.
Yep.
Okay. And do I just like pass this goblin? Do we just end up like attack of opportunity each other?
So you can get around to where this goblin's running out from the side of the statue and see that the priest is gone. So before you've left being next to him, you can reach out and give him a punch.
Okay, yeah. So I'll come around the corner and just like punching blindly at the first thing that moves, before like registering that it's not the priest. That is a 15.
That hits. Roll for damage.
Hiya!
Why don't I use... Can I use the D6? Is it only for D20 rolls, or is it for any roll?
Attack
No,
roll
it's
damage?
for hold on. It is for no, it's not for damage. It's
Okay, not for damage.
D20 rolls. It's skill checks, saves, and attacks.
Okay, so that's 4 damage then.
There is a class feature. I think it's College of Valor. I want to say that's for damage.
Well, you can, yeah.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I come around and just give that goblin a quick like jab in the face, I'm going to step back into a defensive position, readying to evade any attacks coming my way. And that's probably when I realize that the goblin I punched is not the priest. And then I'm going to swear loudly in Elven.
Solid.
All right. Yeah. No. Yep.
You know, I got 18 AC, right? 18, dude. You can't mess with this.
You know, there's got to be a quicker way to go about rolling multiple dice at once, like some kind of digital tool you could use.
There is a digital tool I could use. I could also use the mob rules, which are a fantastic set of rules in the Dungeon Master's Guide, where if you have a certain number of creatures, they just do X amount of damage, no attack rolls required.
You know what I do? Is I pull a page off of War Machine, and if I have multiple enemies, I just give the attack and damage roll a +1 for each enemy in the group.
Hmm. That's quite good, actually. I like
Yeah.
that. Nice and concise.
There you
It
go.
also, if you use battle mat rules, it also creates a situation where they can never get more than a +7, because you don't count the initial attacker. You just take the attacker and then you add +1 for each other person. They can never get more than a +7, which means that you're not going to outright destroy somebody with that unless you're really low level.
Yeah. Regardless, we do end up with 3 strikes. 2. Eigner is now being surrounded by these goblins. He's charged in with his shield, slashed with his sword, but they scatter at the place where he strikes with his blade and reform around him. They start bashing with their fists and the daggers, trying to get through his armor, but he's deflecting all of them, save for the few that sneak around the back. While he's concentrating on defending his front with a shield, they manage to find a weak point, the back of his armor, stabbing for 10 damage.
What?
As 2 blade strikes.
Oh my god,
in.
dude. Oh, ow.
The other 4 goblins surround Eridu. And again, Eridu is dodging, weaving. So the disadvantage managed to save you from 1 attack, but you managed to swerve into the path of another. You take 4 damage.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now I'm just at 2 hit points, no big deal.
Alright. What's everyone's intentions now? You've damaged 1 goblin. Technically 2, although the priest is now just gone.
Yeah. Well. Anyone have any brilliant ideas?
So, I do not have the best strength, but I would actually like to grab and grapple one of the goblins and pretty much use it as a shield against the other goblins' attacks.
Okay. Give me a strength athletics.
Alright. I need to train myself in athletics. Because I got a 1!
Wow, dude.
I rolled a 19.
Wow.
I rolled a 2. I have a -1.
Ugh.
Right.
Oh,
I've just realised we've not properly done the next round of initiative. We started rolling instead of establishing things.
Yeah.
So,
Should we get a mulligan?
to make up for my faux pas,
Faux pas.
so yes, we shall get a
Papa.
mulligan. What is everyone doing? So Eridu's planning on doing that. I should not have said let's go. So that's Eridu's plan. So there's no modification to initiative. Eigner.
Well, I definitely need to use my class feature Second Wind to regain some hit points. And I think maybe I will try and take a dodge action, and I will shout over to Okrim, could use a little help over here.
Right. And what is Okrim's plan?
Okrim is going to say, yes, you guys do. And so I'm going to give him a bardic inspiration for my bonus action, and hold on, before I forget, I never marked those. I'm going to give him a bardic inspiration, and then I'm going to go heal cure wounds on Eridu.
Okay. As a first level?
Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah.
All right. That
Still level
9
2,
that I'm
so.
seeing in the chat, Asa, is that the initiative roll for this round?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Josh, could you give us an initiative roll for this round?
Okay.
I see it there. Okay.
We got some wonderfully high rolls.
Yes.
That's so good.
You and Eigner act at the exact same time. So what we'll do is you're both wanting to do a bonus action. We'll do Eigner's bonus action, and then Okrim's bonus action, and then Eigner's action, then Okrim's action.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Okay.
So my bonus action is to heal myself, and I rolled an 8. I get to add my fighter level, and that actually heals the 10 hit points that I lost. So even though I get stabbed in the back, I immediately get this rush of adrenaline, and I'm like, oh, you little dirty little rats! I'm gonna. And then I essentially just take a moment to drop into a more tactical position, and I'm looking around aggressively, getting a read on exactly how many goblins there are and how many are flanking me in which positions. So that's my whole explanation of the dodge action. I'm ready to spin around and deflect as needed.
Cool. Okrim, you're going to give Bardic Inspiration as your bonus action.
Yep. Okay. Everywhere I hear the sound of marching, charging feet, boy. 'Cause summer's here and time is ripe for fighting goblins, boy.
All right.
So Street Fighting Man, take him up. Take your D6.
All right. It's a D6 for an attack roll, a save, or a skill check.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And
sorry, my tones are off. I'm still kind of a little groggy today.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You guys haven't heard me try to sing, and that's a blessing. So, Eigner, your action was just going to be the dodge action. You're now going to impose.
I learned about it, and I really like it. Yeah.
Okay. And remember, you do still get to move. So you guys move in anywhere in particular? You want to?
I'm not trying to take any attacks of opportunity. What I'm really trying to do is honestly, I'm hoping that maybe some of them will maybe try and peel off, because I have the feat where I get to attack them if they move or don't. If they attack anyone other than me, I don't know. That's why I'm just surrounding myself with goblins, because I get these free attacks off of my turn.
Right. And finally, the plan for Cure Wounds.
Cure Wounds. Don't you die on me. I said, don't you die on me. Okay, so clearly Cure Wounds. And that is D8. Where are my D8s? Okay, and then what is my... There we go. 10. You gain 10, so you're almost full.
Very good. I could never die on you, Okrim.
Right, and finally, Eridu.
I am going to use my bardic inspiration that I was gifted for this roll because I have a -1 to it. My mulligan roll, thankfully, is much higher. I rolled a 16 and then a 3 on my bardic inspiration dice for a total of 18.
I roll a 3, which in total is a 2.
Wow.
So I just kind of wrap my arm around this goblin's neck and just kind of yank him, back into this chokehold, and I've got him sort of between me and the other goblins. I'm probably lifting him off the ground a little bit because he's short and I'm pretty tall.
Yeah. So you have got him. He is unable to move independently, but you can see that he's thrashing around and trying to stab behind himself to try and get you. You've managed to pin the arm momentarily, but unfortunately, it's still there as a danger. The rest of the goblins try slashing at Eigner and just cannot roll out of the teens, into the teens rather, getting lower than 10. So, yeah, the disadvantage is working for you. Yeah, none of them managed to hit you at all. So, after the first 4 realize that they are not landing blows, the final 2 that are currently on Eigner do peel off and rush towards the one that has been singing all this time,
Mm-hmm.
making noise and having made the master run off.
It's pretty common.
So
It's common knowledge the goblins don't like singing.
Unfortunately, only one of them hits, but they hit for 8 damage.
Wait, hold on. Before any of that happens, I get at least one attack of
You
opportunity.
do get an attack of opportunity
Yeah.
against them.
Just one, or like one each, or
Yeah,
like you can only take
just one because it's a reaction.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
What's the feat that you took?
It's called Sentinel. So even if they took a disengage action, I would still be able to hit them. And if I hit anyone with an opportunity attack, I freeze them in place. Their speed becomes 0. So
That's great.
it's a great feat. It's a great feat.
Yeah.
Okay, that's gonna be 28 against AC.
Definitely a hit.
And definitely a hit, and then definitely like 9 damage, and then one of them just stops in his tracks. I like hamstring him or something.
Yeah, the one. I think it's the one that you hit, right?
So a minor retraction. You see that one of them jumps at you, but you manage to dodge out the way, Okrim. As you dodge out the way, you see another goblin charge towards you, its mouth agape, dozens of sharp, tiny teeth glistening in the dim glow of the braziers. And just as it's about to sink its blade into your chest, you see another sword blade pierce through its chest.
Hell yeah.
I give him a little
Kills
nod.
it. And as he draws the sword out through the side of the goblin, manages to strike at the goblin next to him, slashing over the 2 damage.
Whoa. Cool.
Right. Okay. So there are 9 goblins left. Eigner, so you can see from looking around, you've killed one, you've scratched another, a third one has been punched by Eridu, but the goblins certainly seem to be faring in this fight better than you. They seem to be sticking around so far. So, third round. What's everyone wanting to do?
Well, I'm still technically surrounded.
You are.
Is
You've
it an
got
action?
4 of them on you now.
Yeah.
Is it an action to maintain the grapple?
It's not an action to maintain it, no.
Okay.
It's an action to break the grapple.
But I can only attack the person with whom I am grappling.
No, that's not the case.
Oh, okay.
You can attack anyone. So you can basically be holding him in an arm lock and punch someone else.
What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to hold him up, and I'm actually going to do like a sort of shove kick at one of the nearest goblins. I can just do it as a melee attack, or I can do it with no damage just to do like a knockdown or a pushback, whichever makes more sense.
All right. While you're holding him, by the way, you are under 3/4 cover, which gives you a +5 to your armor class as far as the goblins are concerned.
That's cool.
And I'm going to try to be like moving backward toward, probably toward Eigner, so that I'm like back to back with him or back to side with him.
Okay.
That'd be
But
cool.
sorry, you were saying that you were going to like kick at the goblins. So still attack, but you're still trying to keep him in front as cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that'll give me disadvantage or anything like that, but.
Right, so you're going to attack Eigner.
Okay, so I'm not sure if I have to like tell you my entire thing necessarily, but I'm definitely just going to turn around and try and cut down another one of the goblins. I may use my action surge if I get a really good hit on one. I may try and like attack another.
The action surge is entirely optional, so it's just
Okay.
what you're doing with the first main action, and then anything else that you do after that is. So the action surge is just you gaining super speed for a moment.
For sure.
So yeah, it's just the first action that you need to tell me about.
Okay.
And Okrim, you now have 1 goblin facing you.
Okay. Let's do something really quick. Okay. I just want to see something really quick. Okay.
While Okrim's looking that up, Eigner and Eridu, if you could make your initiative rolls for me.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to.
Okay.
Bardic Inspiration Eigner.
Oh,
Again.
I already have it. I can't have two, can I?
Oh, you didn't use it?
No, not yet. I was gonna save it for my attack.
I used mine.
Eridu's used his.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'm gonna pop it over to Eridu.
Okay.
And I am going to vicious mockery. Is he right on me, or is he like a little bit away?
He's 5 feet. 5 feet.
Okay,
So
he's engaged with me. Then I'm gonna vicious mockery him, the one that's like right in front of me.
Okay, dokie. What's your initiative?
14.
Nice. Okay, so we start with 6. We start with Eridu.
Hey,
So there is no disadvantage to the attack roll. You're still holding this goblin
I'll be
in front.
right back.
All right, and you can just make an attack.
Okay, my attack is 13.
That is not enough to hit a goblin, alas.
That's alright, so I'm kind of stepping back and I just take a kick. Goblin kind of easily evades it because it's a little bit hampered by this goblin feet in my way.
Do you want to spend any key points to get your bonus attacks?
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
I think with the basic martial arts of a monk, without spending a key point, you do get 1 bonus
Yeah, you
action
still
attack.
get 1 from a bonus action.
Oh, well, yeah, but my hands are... I guess I could do like 2 kicks, huh?
Yeah, you can do 2 kicks.
Alright.
It's 1 attack, like 1 with weapon attack, and 1 with like hands, which is a D4.
Okay. 15.
And that hits.
Okay. Do I get my bonus to my damage on this one or no?
No, not on this one.
1 point of damage. My D4 has
damage.
been rolling me 1s all day.
Oh man.
Oh.
As you're dragging this one along, you give a swift kick, which the goblins dodge out of the way of, and taking advantage of the motions, your martial arts training allows you to leap onto the foot you've just kicked with and sweep the other leg around, knocking one in the side of the head. At that moment, Okrim.
Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna
Eridu's now beside you as well.
yeah. So I'm gonna bonus, or I'm gonna bardic inspiration. My brain's, so I'm just gonna do it. My brain's kind of, I'm trying, but my brain's kind of foggy today.
Alright, so bardic inspiration on Eridu and
Yeah, bardic inspiration on Eridu.
vicious mockery on the goblin.
I'll try to do better. I'm trying to do better, but yeah. So just do that. I'm just do it for this round.
Okay. What's the saving throw DC?
14?
14 wisdom.
Roll for your damage. It strikes.
Oh yeah. It is 4, and he has disadvantage on the next attack roll.
Do all the goblins go before me?
Unfortunately.
Bummer.
The goblin before you, Okrim, his eyes roll to the back of his head. He drops to the ground, begins to foam at the mouth. As he does so, you see the statue's eyes flash for a moment. It is at that point that the goblins begin to take note that one of their number has been captured. Another 2 have fallen. To this point that they seem to take note of their situation and run behind the statue. So all of you can use your reactions to get attacks of opportunity against various goblins.
I cannot. I'm not engaged in an. Oh no, am I engaged in one?
You're not currently engaged, but they will run by you and then past. So they are going to be running towards you and then out of your reach again. So yes.
Okay.
Every single
Okay.
one.
Would I be able to get a free action to pull out my dagger?
Yeah, I'll let you pull out a weapon. Yeah.
Okay, So then I'm gonna pull out, like, if I see them coming, I'm gonna pull the dagger out and take a swipe.
Okay. So yeah, give me attack rolls each person.
I got
Oh, mine's a miss. I got like an 8.
okay. I got
12.
I got like a 15, and that hits for 6 damage.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's another one downed.
Sick.
Yeah, as they all start running away, you find one that you're able to quickly dash in front of and block with your shield. You see him cowering before you. You exact your vengeance as you see your blood on his dagger.
Mm-hmm.
Okrim, what was your attack roll?
12.
The rest of
I'm not
you
a melee fighter.
slashing, swiping, kicking after these goblins. They dash behind the statue, and you notice that they are now disappearing. The sound, the cacophonous screams and yelps of these goblins disappearing into a cadence. You're now alone in the room.
Well, I have a goblin that I'm holding.
You
on.
do have a goblin. He's mysteriously silent and stops struggling.
I will hold him tight around the neck and whisper in his ear, "What is going on here? What are they doing to the statue?"
While this is going on, I'm identifying the statue for 10 minutes. 11
Okay.
minutes.
Priest, do summon.
Have you defiled our gods?
Defiled? No.
Then what is it you're after, and why have my people died for it?
Your people?
I force him toward the dead elves on the ground. My people!
Oh, sacrifices.
Sacrifices.
Sacrifice to a Nesty. Our priest, he told of this time.
Anasti is not your god. Why would you sacrifice to her?
She cares. Nesty look after bodies.
This is defilement nonetheless. And it is not forgivable. And with that, I'm going to snap his neck.
That was
Then I'm-
Academy Award, Drew. The Academy sends its regards. Oh man,
Best.
it was really good.
It was the best 2018 death scene.
Man.
He died the way he lived, utterly confused and in the dark.
Yep. Wow. Well, I'll probably get just a tiny bit exasperated at Eridu and say like, man, that we could have gotten so much information out of him. What are you doing?
I'm gonna brush Eigner off. He knew nothing. He knew nothing more than he said. And not even looking at him, going to walk up to the god. Not a great religion check, 7, to kind of see what's going on. I'm assuming the statue still has the glowing eyes.
The eyes appear to no longer have the glow, but you can see around them little scorch marks. You can tell that there was a flash of something there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okrim's currently using his identify. The rest of you still have 5 minutes before he completes the ritual for that.
In that, then I'm going to start to take the elven bodies and set them aside and like sort of prepare them in a respectable ritual for like death ritual.
All right. As you do so, you notice that Vilren and Silin are not among the bodies.
Oh. Interesting. And I would have been looking for the both of them.
Villeren's the historian, and Silent is Jalen's daughter.
Yes.
Who is the military leader
Who's the military leader?
of this group, not the other group that we started with as well.
Yeah.
So,
So,
the rest of the 5 minutes transpires. Eigner, is there anything that you're wanting to do during those?
yes. First, a clarification. How long do you need to be chilling to have it be a short rest?
1 hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Interesting. Okay.
There are alternate rules, but yeah, that's...
Well, that answers my question. That on the first...
Some people do half an hour, but hour by raw.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll just kind of spend some time looking at the statue, and I'm also going to do a religion check, but honestly, even if I roll high, I'm not necessarily trying to get anything out of it. It's just more of like a symbolic thing, because Eigner has these moments where he tries to reconnect with that sense of divinity that he once had, and he hasn't been too successful, but he knows that it's faith is a matter of persistence, but he's also super cynical about it. So he's only got a 2, and he rolled a natural 1. You see what I mean? Like, he's just trying, but he's like, you got so many natural obstacles, just like this natural 1. Like, I want to show it. It looks like that.
Dude.
Yeah, I rolled that one.
Those rules are why
Yeah.
Eigner is no longer a paladin.
No, not just the rolls. I mean, like, there's a definite tragic story behind all of it. But yes, those
Yeah.
rolls. He just
Tragic story, I kept
rolled so
rolling
many.
ones.
I just rolled so many natural ones on my religion check that I lost my paladin levels. What?
You were like, the
Yeah.
gods have obviously cursed me with ones, so I
Yeah,
have
dude.
to just be. I'm done.
That would be a great Oathbreaker, like, story-wise. Like,
You
if
just-
you rolled, like, enough
Like-
natural ones through
No,
your campaign, you move
The
into...
natural 1
Uh,
does not just the fact that it's a natural 1, but the fact that it's a failure does something.
Mm-hmm.
So it begins with the conclusion of the identify spell. You identify that there is divine magic about the statue. You also find that let me find the specifics of the identify spell. But you find that there's an aura around some writing at the base. You know that if this were something to be read, that in a particular manner, if you were to read it after a short meditation of a minute only, that this would be essentially a word of power. You know from the goddess involved, the placement of what appears to be a shrine, and Eigner also looking around the walls and moving towards the statue to get a closer look. It all becomes clear that this is a shrine room, that for the dearly departed, this shrine was erected to give thanks to Anesti and to ask for her favor. This word at the base appears to be an insult, an especially cutting one that moves to the very soul, something that followers of Anesti, of a particular subcult of hers, often used to demoralize their foes. Unfortunately, Okrim activates the magic while using Identify, and mysteriously his vicious mockery now does D6 rather than D4 damage.
Forever or just in general?
Forever. As long as the
Or-
favor of Anesti is with you, you now do D6 instead of D4s. And
Okay.
thus, when leveling, it'll be 2D6 at level 5 or whatever.
Okay. I'll just keep a note of that.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
As Eigner gets close to the statue, seeing that on the walls it's depicting various rituals of Anesti guiding souls through to the afterlife, he notices a weird sack of something on the statue. Getting closer to have a look and see if he can work it out. Maybe it's something to do with the goddess. When he gets close enough, he notices one thin black leg, and it then explodes. A swarm of spiders has erupted from an egg sac at the base of the statue and begins crawling towards you.
Oh, okay. What do I do? Oh my god. Oh. I mean, like, do I have to roll, or do I have to say what I'm gonna do, or like what happens?
If you want to stay and do anything about it, or run away, those are the two options that I need to know the broad category of what you're doing.
You know what? I'm like very happy to say right now that Eigner might be one of those kind of people who has extreme arachnophobia. You know, in the same way that Indiana Jones just hates snakes. He hates snakes. Eigner might hate spiders. So he's just going to straight run from that shit.
All right. Running from the swarm of spiders. You see from the number of them, the way they're crawling over each other and stuff, you reckon that they could carpet the room, given enough time. So Eigner's out there. Eridu, Okrim, are you following suit?
Hell to the motherfucking yeah. Both Josh and Okrim are not cool with spiders. To the point where, to Josh's character is that frightened of spiders in a D&D game.
Oh man, this is a tough one. Because on one hand, Eridu is seeing all these spiders, but on the other hand, he's seeing all the fallen elves. He is going to, before he follows them, pull from the top of his deck, at which point, and as he's doing this, saying a silent prayer to himself, asking for guidance from Anesti. And he pulls up the Queen of Cups, face up. And then he looks at the goblin whose neck he broke. And then looking at the spiders, he quickly, as quick as he can, drags that goblin and lines him up next to the rest of the elves and puts him in the same sort of position of honor before charging up the stairs.
Wow.
The Queen of Cups, one of its interpretations is compassion, and one of my character traits is that I can find common ground with any of my enemies. So that's a moment where, feeling that Anesti was sort of moving him towards that moment of like, she showed compassion for these things, so he should as well.
It's unfortunate that it might feel contrived at this moment, but I'm going to make the argument that Eigner and Okrim capitulating to phobias and getting out of there when, if you were being more Munchkin-y, you would just go, it's a bunch of spiders, I'll stand and fight or ignore them. I would like to award inspiration, if you haven't already used the inspiration that I awarded you last time. I'm afraid you can't get double inspiration, but if you had used it, you have it back. And Eridu, I would like to award the same for that very act, playing towards your traits.
Hey, you're telling me I got inspiration because I'm a scared little pussy?
Pretty much.
Awesome.
Yes.
I love it.
Okay, so you guys get out of there quickly. You see the spiders sort of swarming around the room and crawling up the walls and not really doing an awful lot else. They don't seem to be following you or malicious in any way. They are just swarming over the room. And, of course, over the bodies left therein. You are now left, despite being in a corridor with the strange skittering sound of spiders in an adjacent room. You find yourself back in the corridor. Ahead, there is a slight turn to the right. I say a slight turn. There's another corridor going off to the right, further ahead, and beyond that, there's a stretch of corridor with alcoves. jutting into the walls, something in the alcoves, and then beyond that, an opening to a larger room.
Okay.
It's also at this point that I would like to ask for a Constitution saving throw from everyone.
got
and
this,
it's 11.
dude.
It's 1:30. If you guys want to take a break.
Yes, I would like to take a break.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
at Constitution saving throw, we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back.
Yeah. Okay.
Mine is 11.
Mine's 21, yo.
Nice.
21. Can't
I'll let you know results
ask
after we
for
come back.
All right.
All right, cool. I'm gonna mute everything up and see you guys in a little bit.
Nice.